Gita, verse 11 through 20. Bharataya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Grathitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitaamritavarshiniim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Amba Tvam Anusandadhami Bhagavad Gita Bhavadveshinim Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Paramananda Madhavam Balam Balavatam Chaham Kamaraga Vivarjitam Dharma Viruddho Bhuteshu Kamosmi Bharatarshabha Ye Chaiva Sattvika Bhava Rajasastamasasya Ye Vimattaiveti tanvidhi Natvaham teshu te mayi Tribhir gunamayair bhair Ebhi sarvamidam jagat Mohitam nabhijanati Mamebhyah paramam vyayam Daivi yesha gunamayi Mama maya duratyaya Mameva ye prapadyante Maya metam tarantite Namam dushkritino mudha Prapadyante naradhamaha Mayaya pahritagnana Asuram bhavamahshritaha Chaturvidha bhajante mam janah sukritinurjuna Arto jignyasurartharthi jnani cha bharatarshabha Tesham jnani nitya yukta Eka bhaktir vishishyate Priyo hi jnani notyartham Aham sacha mama priyaha Udara sarva evaite Jnani tvatmaiva me matam Astita sahi yuktatma Mamevanuttamam gati Bahunam janmanam ante Sarvamiti Satma Devataha Tam Tam Niyamamastaya Prakritya Niyata Swaya So tonight we'll begin at verse 12, chapter 7. And I think there's only one more class this month, isn't there? Just one more. Okay, so we'll see if we finish chapter 7 by next class. If we take 9 or 10 verses today and 9 or 10 the next time, then we will complete chapter 7 before we break for August. In August we're closed, no classes. We won't start again until September 8th, which is a Sunday after Labor Day. And so we'll be able to start on a new chapter, chapter 8. So in what transpired, again, let me back up and say in chapter 7 again, we begin 6 chapters which, according to Madhusudana Saraswati, this commentator in the book that I have, deal with the nature of God. The first 6 chapters deal mainly with the nature of the self, the who am I. The next 6 chapters from 7 to 2 deal with the nature. So right from the first verse of chapter 7, Sri Krishna talks about, starts speaking of himself. And so in what we ended with last time, in the 5 verses, Sri Krishna speaks. There's no sound coming, no amplification coming at all, I don't think. Yeah, it's working. Yes, I think it's in a little louder as needed. Spoke about his manifestations. And he'll deal with that much more in a subsequent chapter, chapter 9, I believe. But he says, for instance, O son of Kunti, taste of water. I am the effulgence of the moon. To be the kings. I am the wisdom of the wise. I am the resoluteness of the resolute, of the strong. Creatures are consciousness. So then in the 12th verse, he says, Ye chaiva sajasastamasasthavye matta eve tvaham teshu te mai. Which are or tamasic, matta eveti tan vidhi, matta eva iti tan vidhi. Know them to be from me alone. That they proceed from me alone. So whatever there is that is sattvic, rajasic, or tamasic, all of that to proceed from me. So as I explained last time, before we came to this verse, that Sri Krishna says, among the strong, I am that strength which is totally devoid of desire and attachment. That's for the sake of meditation, so that we meditate on God as the most refined, subtle, and purest element within everything. But actually everything comes from God. That strength which is full of attachment, full of desire, full of aggression, full of violence, that also comes from God. That's one of the things that is difficult for people to understand. It's difficult even for many Hindus to understand, what to speak of people of other religions, especially the Abrahamic religions, where God is all good. God is all good. God is nothing but the good, and evil comes from the devil. But if evil comes from the devil, then you have two gods. Of course, in the Abrahamic traditions, they say, no, we're not talking about two gods, that whatever the devil does, that is in rebellion against God, and God somehow allows it. But still, you have two different forces. You have God who's on the good side and the devil who's on the bad side. And so that's no longer God. That's no longer God if you have two different forces working. If there is a ultimate reality, whether you call it God in personal terms or impersonal terms, Brahman, no personhood, either way, then everything must come out of that same reality. The good must come and the bad must come also. So here he says that all existences, whether sattvic, that is very pure and luminous and subtle, or rajasic, that is aggression, full of aggression and passion and activity and action and reaction and so forth, or tamasic, destructive, dark, etc. All of that comes from me alone, because there can only be one source of existence, one source of everything here. Once Swami Turiyananda, there, the picture in the middle on that side, Swami Turiyananda, great yogi and a man of great illumination. He was saying that God is all beneficent. God is all good, is all beneficent. The embodiment of all beneficent qualities, which is the way Sri Ramanuja defines God. So Swami Turiyanandaji was saying that. And Swami Adbhutananda, who is on this side, but I can't see which one from this angle. Swami Adbhutananda is there. This is next to the back. Swami Adbhutananda is there. He was the unlettered disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, the one who could not read or write, had no education at all, so he couldn't even read the scriptures. So he contradicted Swami Turiyananda. Swami Turiyananda again said that God is all good, the embodiment of all beneficent qualities. And Swami Adbhutanandaji said, how can you say that, brother? That God is in the Kaiser also. At that time, World War I was going on. God is in the Kaiser also. If God is not in the Kaiser, then who else is within the Kaiser? That everything comes from God. And so that is true. Everything comes from God. Does that mean that God is bad? No, it doesn't mean that. Because of what Sri Krishna says in the second half of the verse, Matta eveti tan vidhi natvaham teshu te mai. All of these things, good, bad, and indifferent, they all proceed from me. But I am not in them. They are within me. That is, I am the reality itself, and everything comes out of me. But I am not in them means what? It doesn't mean that God is not manifest within everything. Yes, God is manifest within everything. But it means that God is not contained by any of these things. They exist within God. That is, God is the source of everything, the repository of everything, but God is not the one who is doing good and bad things. All of it proceeds from God, but God has no attachment to any of it. So it's not that God does some good things and does some bad things. No. But what does manifestation mean? We say that this universe is a manifestation of God. That's one of the reasons why Hinduism is not monotheistic. People, since colonial times, Hindus have tried to answer the criticism of Christian missionaries by claiming that we're basically the same as you are, and so we're monotheistic also. No, Hinduism is not monotheistic. It's also not crude polytheistic, but monotheism means that God and creation are separate. That God is the creator and God creates the universe, but God remains separate from the universe. He may dwell within it, but dwell within it as separate from it. But in Hinduism, we don't even speak of creation. Srishti doesn't mean making something out there. Srishti means projection out of the very being of God. So everything here has come out of the very being of God. And so manifestation, again, it's manifestation, not creation. The manifestation of the universe out of the very being of God. That's why in Christianity they had to develop, in order to be logical, consistent with their basic ideas, they developed the idea of creation ex nihilo, which means out of nothing. The universe is created out of nothing. Why? Because if God made the universe out of something that was already there was God and there was this material, and God made the universe out of this material, then God is not God, because there's something outside of God. But they were not willing to say that the universe came out of God, because that means that the universe in some sense is God. This universe is a divine manifestation, and that they weren't willing to say. And so, as one of my teachers used to say, Swami Mukhyananda, he used to say that Hinduism teaches monistic theism, not monotheism. Monistic theism. That is, that there's one reality, and that takes on personality, the personality of God. And out of that reality, this universe comes. But it's not the same as monotheism. And that's a good thing, because monotheism is not as subtle as monistic theism. So again, coming back to the question, what is manifestation? You have one reality, a non-dual reality. Again, when there's only one, then it's not even one, as Sri Ramakrishna says. If there's only one, then what do you have? One makes sense only if there is more than one. If there is no diversity whatsoever, then one makes no sense. It's no longer even one. It's non-dual. Not two, but you can't say one. So it's not two. And so manifestation means that which is non-dual comes into the manifoldness. And manyness, manifoldness, means you have the whole range of things. If you have heat, can you have heat without cold? Can you have cold without heat? One doesn't make sense without the other. Can you have the right side without the left side? No. You have to. If you have a right, you have a left. If you have an up, you have to have a down. If you have a front, you have to have a back. If you have light, you have to have dark. Otherwise, light disappears. Light is light only in contrast to darkness. Darkness is darkness only in contrast to light. And so if you have good, you have to have bad. You can't have one without the other. They're only meaningful in relationship to each other. So God is neither good nor bad. God is beyond the duality of good and bad. But in manifestation, if you have good, you're going to have bad. So all of these things come together. Manifestation means this explosion of multiplicity. And in that multiplicity, you have all of these pairs of opposites, the dvandvas, pairs of opposites. You can't have a battery with just the positive pole. You can't go to the market and say, well, where are your batteries? And then you look at them and you come back to the man and said, I found the batteries, but I only want the positive pole of the battery. I don't want the negative pole of the battery. No, you can't do that. They come together. And so manifestation means that there's all of this diversity. So matta eveti tan vidhi, know all of these things, the sattvic, the rajasic, the tamasic, you know all these things to come from me. Me, not I and them. And again, not I and them doesn't mean that God is not present everywhere. Yes, God is present everywhere in everything. But what he means here is that I'm not limited by them. I have not taken on their identity. And the things which are bad, the things which are even good, I'm not limited by either one, because I'm transcendent to both. And that's the meaning of the symbolism of Ma Kali. Now, Ma Kali, the deity, is not a symbol. But Mother Kali, as we see her, her form that we worship, the image that we worship of Ma Kali, that is highly symbolic. Every element of it is symbolic. Everything about the image of Ma Kali is symbolic. So again, we have to understand that Ma Kali is not a symbol. She's the mother of the universe. She's a reality. But in the way that she appears, in the image that she appears as, that's highly symbolic. And so in one hand she's holding the severed head, the other, the second hand she's holding the sword with which she severed the head, and on the other side one hand is giving the Abhaya Mudra, don't fear, because on one side she's giving death, but she's saying don't fear, there's nothing to fear, because this is me, your mother, and giving boons, Varadana. Giving boons, giving fearlessness, and giving death. So the idea of the image of Kali is that she's the giver of birth, she's the giver of death. She's the giver of good things, she's the giver of bad things. She's the giver of happiness, the giver of sadness. Everything comes out of Mother Kali. So she is the image of this verse which Sri Krishna is saying. And so even some of, like Sri Ramakrishna's cousin, Haladhari, he had to worship the Kali image in Dakshineshwar for a period. And he used to say that Mother Kali is a tamasic deity. She's tamasic. That Vishnu is sattvic, but Ma Kali is tamasic. And Sri Ramakrishna would scold him for saying that. What kind of understanding is that? No, she's the mother of the whole universe. She's reality itself. But Ma Kali is naked reality, and that's why she has no clothes. She's naked reality. She's reality as it is, not reality dressed up to look pretty. Though, as Sri Ramakrishna saw in his many visions, she's the very embodiment of beauty itself. But she's the naked, meaning that she's the way reality is, without our painting over it to try to make things look nice and sweet. This is what we actually face in life. No one passes through life without pain. Nobody passes through life without suffering. But if we can see that all of that comes from Mother Kali, or Krishna, or Rama, or whomever our Ishta is, but speaking of Mother Kali, because that's the intrinsic to her image, then there's nothing to fear from anything that comes to us in life. Let life come, let death come. Let happiness come, let misery come. Why should I be a slave to any of that? I can rise above all of it, because all of it comes from the hand of the Divine Mother. The loving hand of the Divine Mother, not the punishing hand of the Divine Mother. Ma Kali is not about punishment. She's not about terror. She's not about the scourge of God or anything like that. No, she's the all-loving heart of the universe. But she brings us everything. And so Swami Vivekananda would say that it's cowards who say that Ma Kali is cutting off the heads of demons, that she's protecting us from the demons, so she's cutting off the heads of demons. No, that's your head she's cutting off. That's my head she's cutting off. But she's cutting it off as an act of love, to free us from all attachment. And so when she cuts off our head and we recognize her as cutting off our head, then we are free. Absolutely free. Free from all suffering, free from all ignorance, free from all transmigration, free from samsara. So here the running translation is, and indeed those mental states that are made of sattva and those that are made of rajas and tamas, know them to have sprung from me alone. However, I am not in them, they are in me. So then verse 13 says, Tribhir gunamayair bhavair ebhi sarvamidam jagat mohitam nabhijanati mamebhya paramavyayam. So Tribhir gunamayair, by these three gunas, bhavair ebhi sarvamidam jagat mohitam. So by these three gunas, the whole world is deluded. We're deluded by sattva, rajas, and tamas. You know the story of Sri Ramakrishna, the very beautiful illustration of the three gunas about the robbers. or the robber. Well, the three robbers, yes. So a man was walking from one town to another, and three robbers grabbed him in the forest. And one of the robbers said, "Maro, Maro, kill him, kill him." And another robber said, "No, why do we need to kill him? Just tie him to the tree, and then we'll take his things and run." And so they tied him to the tree, and then left. And then the third robber came back and untied him to let him go, and said, "What is the need? We've taken all of your things. What is the need to leave you here to suffer? So I'm going to let you go." The man that had been robbed, he was so grateful that here this robber has come back to free me. So I owe him my life. Otherwise, I would have perished here in the jungle by myself, tied up like this, unable to eat or drink. So he told him, "You please," like Holy Mother telling the dacoit. This man said to the third robber, "You please come with me to my home in my town, and I will reward you, and my family will be so happy to meet you because you saved my life." And he said, No, I can't do that because I too am a robber. If I go into the town, the police will catch me." And so Sri Ramakrishna said, the first thief who said, "Maro, Maro, kill him, kill him," that is tamoguna. That's tamas, which is destructive. The thief who said, "No, it's enough just to tie him up to the tree," that is rajas, rajoguna, whose quality is to bind us through attachment and through passion and activity and action and reaction and all of that. And the third guna is sattva, who comes and unties us from bondage and lets us go free. The kind guna, that which is pure-hearted and good, but that also is a guna. That also is a guna, and so that we have to go become trigunatita, beyond the three gunas. Even sattva has to be left behind. But the process, as Swami Vivekananda showed throughout his life and his teachings, is to first overcome tamas by rajas. That is, first to become active, active and get rid of the tamas out of your system, the darkness, the laziness, the inertia out of your system through rajas. But then rajas has to be overcome by sattva. That is, through goodness, through purity, through clarity of mind, etc. That's overcome by sattva. But then we find that even sattva is a golden chain. Tamas and rajas are iron chains. Tamas, you could say, is a rusty old chain that will give you tetanus if you get cut with it. And rajas is a shiny chain which looks nice, and sattva is a golden chain which is very pure and beautiful. But even that is a chain, and so even that we have to give up. So all this world being deluded by these three things which are made of the gunas. Tribhir gunamayair bhavair ebhi sarvamidam jagat mohitam. Nabhijanati mamebhyah paramam avyayam. So sarvamidam jagat doesn't know me, nabhijanati, mam nabhijanati, doesn't know me, ebhyah param avyayam, who is supreme to these three and is unchanging. So as he gives it here, all this world being deluded by these three things which are made of the three gunas, does not know me who am transcendental to these and undecaying. And so the whole world doesn't recognize God. We're all deluded by the three gunas. And all of us, good people, bad people, and everything in between, everyone in between, we are controlled by all the three gunas all of the time. Sometimes we're in a sattvic mood. Even a bad person sometimes is in a relatively sattvic mood, calm and reflective. And sometimes the mind is so agitated and so full of ideas and desires and so many things, actions and reactions and things. We can't control the mind, rajasic, and sometimes with tamasic. In fact, all of us enter into profound tamas once a day when we fall asleep, at least once a day, maybe several times a day. Fall asleep, and so everyone goes through sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic states every single day, and so we're bound and deluded by these states of mind. The sattvic state of mind, if we can sustain it, that's what allows the mind to move towards God. That's what begins to give us intimations of divinity, gives us intimations of spirituality. And so if we have any spiritual inclination, it's because our sattva element has begun to grow. That's why we begin to feel a spiritual inclination, because sattva is beginning to develop. Being deluded by these three gunas, does not know me who am transcendental to these, ebhya param and avyayam, undecaying. So 14 says, and these verses right here, I keep saying that's all through the Gita class. Almost every class I say these are very famous verses. That's because the whole Gita is famous. But no, certain verses are particularly often quoted and so forth. And so these verses we're dealing with right now are very famous. 14 says, Daivi yesha gunamai mama maya atyaya ye prapadyante mayametam tarante. Esha hi daivi gunamayi mama maya duratyaya. This my divine maya, daivi maya, this maya which is gunamayi, which is made of the three gunas, and which is daivi, which is divine, is also duratyaya, is difficult to cross over. This my divine maya is difficult to cross. Mameva ye prapadyante, those alone who worship me or take refuge in me. Maya metam tarantite, they alone cross over this maya. Those alone who take refuge in me, they cross over this maya, which is duratyaya, which is difficult to cross over. So this divine maya made of the three gunas. So the three gunas, as you know, those are the very constituents of maya. In modern nuclear physics and in chemistry, the search is for the ultimate component parts of matter. What are the ultimate component parts of matter? And so, of course, the search was for the atom, because the atom was, by definition, the atom was to be the ultimate component part of matter. If you analyze matter into smaller and smaller components, you would finally get to the atom, which was indivisible. So the atom was the indivisible part of both in the West and in the East. Also the Vaisheshikas were the atomists in India, the Vaisheshikas. But of course, in the modern science, they came to the atom, and then they found that the atom also was composed of parts. At first, protons, electrons, and neutrons. Neutrons being composed of the positive and negative charge, which neutralized each other. So like a proton and electron put together. But then they found that those were not even indivisible. And so, again, the process for finding the ultimate components of nature of material nature has continued. They're still looking, and with different theories of quarks and string theory and so forth. But according to Vedanta and Sankhya, you don't come to an end of analysis of the universe until you come to the three gunas. Those are the ultimate components of the universe. So Maya is gunamayi, made of the three gunas. But Maya also is seen as a whole, composed of three gunas, but Maya is spoken of as a whole, as a thing itself. And so he says, my divine Maya. So Maya, the idea of Maya is fundamental, of course, to Vedanta, especially the Advaita Vedanta. To all schools of Vedanta, they deal with Maya, but to Advaita Vedanta, the understanding of Maya is critical. In other devotional schools of Vedanta, Maya is just the power of God. And so then you don't have to know much more than that. It's the power. You're interested in God. You're not interested in Maya. And Maya is the creative power of God. And Maya is a good thing, because it's out of Maya that God creates the universe, and that's a good thing. But in Advaita Vedanta, it's Maya which is the bondage that we suffer from. It's Maya which keeps us embodied and bound here. And so the infinite reality Brahman, which is beyond the idea of God, beyond the idea of individuals, beyond the idea of the soul, the Brahman, the absolute. When and this is not that there's like a puddle and on in the top of the ocean of Maya. No, as you sattvic element of Maya, there's the bimba, the first reflection of the absolute in the totality of Maya, and that is God. Ishvara is the reflection of the absolute in Maya. The problem with that statement, teaching in Vedanta, is it seems to make God an illusion. But no, it doesn't make God an illusion. God is the reflected infinite reality, or the infinite reality in association with Maya, and then that reality is reflected in the individual consciousness. Out of that original bimba, the reflection of Brahman in Maya, then begins the process of creation, and the pratibimba is the subsequent, reflection of the same Brahman in the consciousness. And so one of us is a reflection of Brahman reflected in the whole of Maya, which never forgets who it is. The individualized consciousness gets the fact that we are a reflection. And so when it means you, the individual jiva, you, the reflected consciousness, your individual mind, within the individual buddhi. That both in the same one reflected. One is reflected in the sattvic element of Maya. The other is reflected in the sattvic element of the individual mind. But the bimba, the original reflection, never forgets who it is. But we have forgotten who we are. And so Tattvamasi is to remind you that you are that reflected consciousness, the same reflected consciousness as the consciousness of Ishvara. Not that you can become Ishvara, no, because Ishvara is the cosmic, the universal, and you are the individual. But as reflected consciousness, you're the same as Ishvara. And so I am as much Brahman as Ishvara is Brahman. I'm as much Brahman as Sri Ramakrishna was Brahman. I'm as much Brahman as the Divine Mother Kali is Brahman, or Krishna, or Rama. But as an individual, Krishna or Rama or the Divine, because I'm that consciousness reflected in the individual mind. So Advaita, when it's in non-dualistic Vedanta, when it says you are God, it doesn't mean that you are Ishvara. No, you're not Ishvara. You are Brahman. You are the original before even the arising of God. And this is just over. I was in Aspen for the memorial for a dear friend who was a famous Christian monk, a very holy man, a very saintly Christian monk. At a monastery in Snowmass, Colorado, right next to Aspen. And so there's a lot of discussion of this during our 3 days of celebration of his life. And so among the Christian mystics, and this Father Thomas Keith. All of the Godhead, just as a warning. So you can't just take it when you see Godhead. Christian. That as far Son and Holy Spirit, the Godhead is as far above the Trinity as the Trinity is above ordinary human nature. So the Godhead is completely transcendent. There's no idea of Trinity there at all, even in these aspects of mystical Christian theology. And so those mystics who experienced the Godhead, they experienced themselves as one with the Godhead. They didn't become the Trinity, but they went beyond the Trinity and realized themselves as the reality itself. So Meister Eckhart, again, this German mystic of the 13th and 14th centuries, he said, in that knowledge, in that experience of knowing who I am, I go beyond God and everything that belongs to God. And I become that which I was, am, and forevermore will be. That is, that realization of my nature as Brahman. And so, again, when we speak of God, and we're speaking of Ishvara, because again, sometimes even Swami Vivekananda, sometimes when he says God, he means Brahman, sometimes when he says God, he means Ishvara. But when we speak, then yes, I am the devotee of Ishvara, and by worshipping and surrendering to Ishvara, then eventually what happens is that I realize that the two of us are the same. Not as Ishvara and Jiva, those are different, but as Brahman, we're the same. So the idea is not that Ishvara is an illusion, that Ishvara is an illusion. No, Ishvara is that infinite reality, as I see from the side of Maya. When I go beyond Maya, then I see that reality as it is. I see Sri Krishna, Sri Ram, Sri Ramakrishna, the Holy Mother. I see them as they are, as Brahman. And short of that, I see them manifested as Ishvara, full of grace, full of power, full of wisdom, full of compassion, full of love, able to lift us beyond the realm of Maya, because they are Mayadhish. They are the rulers of Maya. We are subject to Maya. But Ishvara is the ruler of Maya. And so that is from the standpoint of non-dualistic Vedanta, that's the rationale for worship, for prayer, for surrender to God. Because I'm surrendering to the Bimba, the vast and perfect reflection of the infinite Brahman within Maya. Within Maya means because I'm within Maya, I see that infinite Brahman manifested in Maya as Ishvara. And by worshipping that, I, the limited jiva, with the very limited, tiny power, tiny intelligence, tiny understanding, I can cross over the ocean of samsara and realize that I am one with that. So from a devotional standpoint, when we come close to God, we come closer and closer to God through our worship, through our prayer, through our meditation, there comes a point where we begin to feel the presence of God. We become aware of the presence of God. Maybe we are aware of God as a deity, like the chosen ideal or something. We feel that we can speak to them. We can be aware of them in our everyday life. Then the desire comes, let me get closer, let me get closer, let me get closer. And that process goes on until we find that the jivahood of me and the Ishwaratva of Ishwara, the Ishwarahood of Ishwara, the Godhood of the personal God, both melt and we become one. So there's no end to the I should say that the end of the love of the devotee is a perfect union with the beloved, where there's no distinction whatsoever. And so in devotional traditions, whether it's the devotional traditions of India or the Sufi traditions of Islam or the Christian mystical traditions, you find that where people followed a devotional path, they wanted to come closer and closer to God. But there was not some point where the mystics, yes, the church might say, in the case of Christianity, or philosophers might say in other traditions, that no, you can only go up to this point. But the devotee doesn't find a stopping place. They want to come closer and closer. If you come to the beloved, do you think that you'll, when you see the beauty and infinite attractability of God, that you'll come within a few steps and say, okay, you stay there and I'll stay here? No, then you want to rush and to merge yourself into that. You don't lose yourself, you become yourself. You don't lose yourself, you become yourself. The great, all of you know of Rumi, and some of you have probably read some of Rumi's wonderful poetry. One of his most beautiful poems is, "What did I ever lose by dying?" I've referred to this many times in classes and lectures, that I was mineral, I died and I became plant. I was a plant and I died and I became animal. I was animal and I died and I became human. I was human and I died and I became God. Like the drop, he says, like the drop falling into the ocean. The drop as a drop dies, but it becomes the ocean. And so what have I ever lost by dying? By dying, I've only gained. And so the devotee seeks to die in God. And that's why, again, in the Christian tradition, Christ said, only who has given up his life for me will find his true life. And so the devotee seeks that. So this divine Maya of mine, which is constituted by the gunas, is surely difficult to cross over. Those who take refuge in me alone cross over this Maya. And Madhusudana gives a long, beautiful commentary here on Maya. And then verse 15 says, Namam dushkrito jnana asuram bhavamashritaha dushkritino buddhaha namam prapadyante. Those who are naradhamaha. So the namam prapadyante, they don't worship me. The lowest of people, those who are evildoers, those who are deeply deluded, they don't worship me. Mayaya parita jnana, with their understanding, their knowledge, or their understanding uprooted by Maya, asuram bhavamastritaha, they have taken refuge in demonic nature. So as it says here, the translation here, the foolish sinners who are the vilest among men, radhamaha, who are deprived of wisdom by Maya, mayaya parita jnana, and who assume the demoniacal characteristics, asuramastitaha, ashritaha, do not take refuge in me, namam prapadyante, they don't take refuge in me. So those also are parts of Krishna. They also are parts of Krishna. They are part of God, part of the manifestations of Brahman. We find that such people are not interested in finding out who they are. They're not interested in worshiping God. So, of course, in Hinduism, of birth until there must be something. Will take me beyond this painful existence, thinking that happiness is right around the corner. Happiness is right around the corner. People try everything to get to that. But eventually, in some birth, we realize something more is needed. This is not so miserable. But even then, they don't seek something higher. They just. But even they, at times, and who assume the demoniacal characteristics do not take refuge in me. Chaturvi Imam Janah Sukritinor Arjuna Arto Jignasurartharthi Jnani Cha Bharatarshabha. So Chaturvidha Janaha Sukritino Mam Bhajante Arjuna. Good people worship me. Bhajante. Arto, the person who is in difficulty, the artha. Realize I need help. Teacher in high school, biology teacher, I had him for biology 1 and biology 2, Mr. Rhodes. He was an out-and-out atheist. He used to tell us in class that he was an atheist, and we would ask him questions about his religious belief and so forth, and why he was an atheist, and he would speak freely with us. He was a very good teacher, wonderful, one of the best teachers I had. And fearless in his expression of his views. And this was in the Bible Belt in South Carolina, where it was dangerous to say such things. But for years he would speak freely, beliefs which were non-religious beliefs. But one day, one of the girls in the class asked him, "But Mr. Rhodes, don't you ever pray?" And he said, "Yes, sometimes I do. When I'm in trouble, when I don't see a way out, then I pray. But you're an atheist. Who do you pray to?" He said, "I don't know. I just cry out to the universe because I have to. When there's no way out, then I also pray. But to whom I'm praying, I don't know." So the artha, the one who is in difficulty, prays because they're in difficulty and they want to find a way out. The jignasu, the person who is wants to understand. And so that we see nowadays with many scientists, maybe, I don't know if probably not the majority, but many scientists, especially those on the cutting edge of modern theoretical physics and other cutting edge fields of science, they want to understand, because as Swami Vivekananda said, science will come to the point where it begins to blend into metaphysics. And so many have come to now. There's some scientists who are now saying that the greatest secret of the universe is consciousness, which we don't understand at all. What consciousness is, we have no idea. And so they're looking for things that are beyond just the physical and beyond just the mental. And so the jignasu is one who wants to know, a sincere desire to know, and that also is good. Aratarthi, the person who wants wealth, the person who wants the good things of life. Oh, Lord, please get me a good car. Please get me a good job. son and daughter to pass their exams successfully. I don't know how I'm going to pay my bill next month, so please find a way for me to pay my bills and so forth. So the artharthi is someone who has some sort of need. So the arti is a person who's in trouble, in pain, needs help just to get out. One of our devotees in Chicago, very fine man, a musician, Jack Hicks, the disciple of Swami Vishwananda, the old Swami from Chicago. He used to come to the Ganges town monastery where I lived in the early 70s, from January 1970 until January 75. And so one time he came up to stay with us for a few days, and he told me that I've got a new mantra. He had a big smile on his face. He was very funny, always joking. And so he had a big smile on his face when he said he had a new mantra. So I knew it was one of his jokes. So I said, what is that, Jack? He said, help! so that's the mantra of the arti. And the artharthi is a person who wants things. It's not that they need help right now, that they're in dire straits. It's just that I want stuff. And so God is like a cosmic vending machine. Let me press God's button and get the things that I want. And then the jnani, the knower. So here, jnani, the jignasu is one who wants to understand intellectually. The person who wants to understand things. They want to understand, what is this universe? Love and love because of the knowledge, and that's good. All of these, Sri Krishna says, are good. But the jnani is one who has the experience of God. That is the true devotee. So here, jnani and bhakta are the same. So jnani covers both jnani and bhakta. So Arjuna, foremost of the Bharata dynasty, that is Arjuna, 4 classes of people of virtuous deeds adore me: the afflicted, the seeker of knowledge, the seeker of wealth, and the man of knowledge. Then 17 he says, Tesham jnani nitya yukta eka bhaktir vishishyate priyo hi jnani notyartham aham sacha mama priyaha. Tesham jnani nitya yukta eka bhaktir vishishyate. Of these 4 types, the jnani, who is nitya yukta, who is always engaged in meditation on me with one pointedly eka bhakti, who has single-minded devotion, vishishyate, he excels. So of them, the man of knowledge excels, since he is endowed with constant steadfastness and one-pointed devotion. Since I am very much dear to the man of knowledge, therefore too he is dear to me. So the jnani, which again is the true bhakta, for such a one, God is dear for God's own sake. I want God because God is God. I don't want God as a means to an end. I want God because I love him. And so such a one excels. Let me just take one more verse, because it could. 18. Udara sarva eva ete jnani twatma eva me asthita sahi yuktatma mameva nuttamam gatim. Sarve eva te udaraha. All of these are exceptional. All 4 types of devotees: the person in trouble, the afflicted person, the person who wants to understand things, the person who wants wealth, and the jnani. All of them are exceptional. Jnani twatmaiva me matam. But the jnani too, jnani, atma is my very self, me matam. He is my very self, which is my opinion, which is my belief. Astita sahi yuktatma mamevan tamam gatim. So my firm, with a steadfast mind, yuktatma, with a steadfast mind, he has accepted me alone as the super excellent goal. Eva anuttamam gatim, as a super excellent goal. So he has accepted me. Excellent, but the man of knowledge is the very self of mine. This is my firm conclusion. He accepted me alone as the super excellent goal. Jnani is the best of all of the four. All are good. All are good because all are oriented towards God, but the Jnani is the best. So now it's a little over time. Let me see if there's one short question. Does anyone have a question tonight? No question. Okay. If you do have a question lurking, you can ask me after the class. So let me give a closing chant. Om Purnamada Purnamidham Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat. That infinite reality is full. This relative universe is full. From out of the fullness of that infinite being, the fullness of this universe has come. And yet that being remains ever the same. Om, peace, peace, peace be unto us and to all the beings of the universe. So for announcements, on Sunday, I forget what I'm going to speak about.